Okay, so I'm gonna make this video really quick. I totally forgot my shades. I'm stopping in from the gym on one of my properties. And so I can't see anything at all right now, which I don't want to be walking up here on a completely white roof otherwise. But as you can see here, this is one of the industrial buildings I own in the area. So we do a lot with just steel and industrial in general, not just self-storage. But I had this question actually twice today, and I get it all the time, and I just actually realized we've never done a video on it. But I'm gonna go over the depreciation cost seg studies and kind of what it underwrite to. Now, just as a reminder, I am not a tax professional, nor am I a cost segregation specialist, but I'm just gonna give you some guidelines as I underwrite to. But generally, when I underwrite to cost segregation, I'm looking at roughly depreciating 20 to 20% of the purchase price of the property, not allocated towards land, because you not depreciate that. Now, while some people can do significantly more, and we certainly can too as well, the reason why we don't do more is because I want to make sure that I'm always over delivering on what we're saying to, whether it's our investors or what we're putting out a performer to the bank. If you are always doing that, the banks will begin to notice that, and they will not take your conservative underwriting otherwise. Now, what I want to focus on is the two things that I particularly look for when I'm going to go beyond that. The biggest one is personal property. So on a building like this, you can see there's this basically large air filtering system that comes with the building and can be considered personal property. That is a much tighter depreciation schedule than what you would with just your standard building. The other one that you have to factor into as well is that within this actual industrial building, the tenant itself has a lot of personal property, a lot of equipment that they're utilizing. When I see a really aggressive valuation, so I had a cost seg on this where they were going to charge me roughly about $1,500 more than everybody else, but they're saying the reason why I'm going to charge you more is because we're going to depreciate an extra 30-40%. Then when you look into the data and then you ask them why, and it's like, well, the reason why is because you are actually counting all this personal property that is not mine. It's actually equipment of the tenants, so that should not be depreciated. So that's one of the things that you need to consider when looking at those things. The other thing on a building like this too as well is that if the panels are insulated, which is often what you get with climate control buildings and whatnot, that is also a faster depreciation schedule as well. So if I can get a value on that, that will help me determine, okay, how much more depreciation can I get? For all intents and purposes, with a lot of industrial buildings like this one or self-storage, you don't have insulated panels. You just have the building structure itself. So that's something you need to consider. So now, as far as deal structure on this deal, I actually put this under contract December 8th. I needed to close it by the end of the year because I needed a depreciation study for the offset about $65,000 in taxes. One of the things that came up in due diligence was that this roof needed to be replaced. I actually was hoping that would be maybe a few years out of it, but I still budgeted for it accordingly. This roof was a very significant cost, but the cost seg tax savings alone is basically paying for this roof. So I went ahead and proceeded to that. Why that's applicable to this, however, though, is because you can see here, this roof would be something that once I place into service, we would be able to depreciate then too as well. Obviously, I can't depreciate it before I've placed into service or installed it, but that's something that I will look to depreciate eventually as well. This building was actually purchased on a land contract, so because I needed to get it done, I couldn't deal with the bank. I put roughly 30% down in cash, and then I had an investor fund that down payment, 10%. with basically a lien on the collateral. And so it worked out for everybody. Investors getting paid, we're still cash flowing with essentially 100% financing. And then once this is repositioned, I have some of the stuff I want to do. I'm also going to replace the parking lot. Then I'm going to go ahead and refinance it out. And effectively, this is a commercial burr. If you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and put this in the comments, and then go ahead and smash that like button.